beef between 50 Cent and the Game is dated all the way back to 2005, and it's definitely one of the most serious rap beefs of all time. And despite sharing one of rap's greatest hits with Hate It or Love It, when you hear the dark truth about what went on behind the scenes, you'll see why the rappers have hated each other ever since and what led to people being shot and over 100 diss tracks being directed at one another. And most recently, just earlier this year, the beef has been reignited after the Game, being one of the most respected West Coast rappers, was not invited to perform at the 2022 Super Bowl halftime performance, which however did include some of the other biggest artists from the West Coast, including Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and 50 Cent. 50 Cent even came to social media to embarrass the Game about not making the cut. But when you hear why the Game wasn't invited to perform, you definitely won't be surprised why. It all started back in 2003 when 50 Cent was one of the most popular rappers at the time, right when both his debut and biggest album to date, Get Rich or Die Tryin', had just released, selling over 872,000 copies in its first week alone, earning 50 the top spot on the Billboard 200 list and giving him his first huge buzz in the rap scene. Anyway, at the time 50 Cent was both a creator and member of the rap group G-Unit. It was later in 2003 when Dr. Dre actually introduced the Game into the G-Unit group as an up-and-coming rapper, and to help boost his popularity for what was to be his debut album, The Documentary, which was soon due to release after. So here's where 50 Cent and the Game met, and both being a part of G-Unit, they began making songs together. And in this time, the two created many songs that would soon be released on the Game's album and would also be some of his biggest songs to date. But here's where things get messy. 50 Cent was actually due to release his own album, The Massacre, in early 2005. However, after being introduced to G-Unit, Dr. Dre decided to postpone 50 Cent's release to drop the Game's documentary album instead, in order to create the most buzz possible for the Game as an up-and-coming rapper. 50 Cent clearly wasn't happy with this business decision, as he was one of the most popping rappers at the time, and his debut album had literally just gone diamond, selling over 12 million copies in its first year. So to have his album pushed back after gaining all this popularity and success was definitely not okay. However, after being contracted into G-Unit, he had no choice but to follow along. The record label ended up putting 3 songs on the documentary which featured 50 Cent, including Hate It or Love It, West Side Story, and How We Do, which all ended up being top hits on the album, with Hate It or Love It and How We Do also being the 2 top most successful songs on the Game's whole career. The album also performed extremely well as a whole, going 5 times platinum and selling over 5 million times to date. And if you actually look back on the Hate It or Love It video clip, you can see that 50 Cent is in the backseat during the car scene, and it is a popular rumor that he refused to sit in the front seat next to the Game as tension was rising between the two rappers. So anyway, here's where things start to really get bad between 50 Cent and the Game, and what led to a shooting between 50 Cent and the Game's crew. Shortly, a few months later in March 2005, 50 Cent kicked the Game out of G-Unit live on the Hot 97 New York radio station, where he announced that the Game was disloyal and never gave 50 Cent full credit for writing 6 songs on the Game's highly successful debut album.
You know, openly, I wouldn't expose what I did for the project, but I wrote those records. I created the concept of those records, and he rapped around it. He's a great rapper. He's not a good songwriter.
So where does he stand as far as G-Unit is concerned right now?
Across the street or around the corner. He's not in my camp.
Not at all.
No way.
However, things didn't just end with the Game getting kicked from the group, but after hearing the news live on air, the Game and his own crew tried to pull up to the radio station live during the interview to confront 50 Cent on the announcement. But they were pretty much just stopped at the door, and after an altercation went down after being refused entry, one of the Game's affiliates ended up getting shot by a security guard, and 50 Cent and the rest of G-Unit were quickly escorted out a back door of the building. Anyway, just a short time later, 50 Cent and the Game strangely announced that they were putting their beef to rest, with the Game suggesting that 50 and I are proving that real situations and real problems can be solved with real talk. However, this was by far nowhere near the end of the two rappers' beef. In fact, this was just the beginning. But soon after, G-Unit announced for the second time that they and the Game were done, once and for all. It pretty much became obvious that the damage had already been done and things had already gone too far between 50 Cent and the game. And with 50 Cent being the face of G-Unit, of course 50 Cent was the side taken by G-Unit. Shortly after, the game pretty much started what would now become the longest diss track war between any rappers in history. The diss track dropped in March 2005 and was called 300 Bars and Runnin'. 50 Cent was quick to fire back with his own diss track, Piggy Bank, and since then, the rappers have pretty much dropped diss track after diss track towards each other and now have made over 100 diss tracks to date. Regardless, things seem pretty quiet between the two in the past few years, but this was very quick to take a turn. Because fast forward to 2022 and things have only gotten worse. Earlier in the year at the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show, 50 Cent would perform alongside Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, and Mary J. Blige, and the game would not. The problem here wasn't that the game wasn't invited to perform, but because all of these artists, like the game, are from the West Coast where the Super Bowl went down. And it's no question that because of the similarity, the game should have been invited to perform, being a West Coast legend, and would have been a perfect addition to the Super Bowl performance. However, it was obvious that Dr. Dre, pretty much being the organizer of the event, of course chose who he wanted on stage, and due to the G-Unit and the game drama over the years, took 50 Cent as his pick. The game was quick to speak up on the situation.
We on the West Coast are the only that have this crab in the barrel mentality where we want to keep down or don't do things based on what somebody else might think it looks like. LA, all around the Super Bowl, and I don't get the call. So
how'd you feel?
I was hurt by that.
Thank you.
Much of the public even backed the game up, agreeing that it had nothing to do with the game not being good enough to perform. It wasn't a West Coast LA Super Bowl. It was Dr. Dre, so whoever he wants there is what goes. It is what it is. The performance wasn't about being from LA, it was about that connection to Dre. Anyway, the performance was very quick to receive an Emmy Award for Outstanding Variety Special, and 50 Cent was very quick to make this known, where he posted to Instagram, "I just won my Emmy Award for the Super Bowl halftime show, LOL." That wasn't the last post about the performance. 50 Cent was also fast to troll the game, knowing that he missed out, where he followed up with another post of an old picture of the game, caption, "No caption needed." He even doubled up on the post, tweeting about the game's Drillmatic, Heart vs. Mind album, which dropped around the same time as the Emmy Award was given and only made around 18,000 sales first week, a very small number for any huge artist like the game. 50 said, "Oh no, I'm sorry you didn't get one." Then the first week, 18K, "If you need someone to talk to, I'm here for you, LOL." So as we can see, this beef doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. But to be honest, 50 Cent and the game have made multiple attempts to end their beef over the years, only for it to reignite soon after. So who knows, maybe it will finally end sooner or later. I guess time will only tell. And that's all for the video. If you guys enjoyed, please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and we'll see you all very, very soon.